right, so now we are going to talk about the local and insatiable Marianne Mulhern. I mean, we all have our stories, I'm sure, most of the people in this room, about first meeting Marianne. Well, I'm going to tell mine. I met with her one afternoon at that famous Green Bean, just to, you know, have a chit chat, get to know her a little, get to know who Marianne is. And what was supposed to be a quick meeting, you know, about 15 to 20 minutes, turned into an hour or so of storytelling. And I was hooked. Marianne, it just draws you in, and she's like a conjurer of stories, and her stories are so powerful, and she says them with such emphasis and emotion. It's great. If you don't know, she has written The Red Dress, Brides in Black is a sequel, Sleeping with Satan, When Angels Weep, and Touch the Dead. Brides in Black is a poetry book that explores the lives of former and current nuns. Marianne Mulhern, for those of you who don't know in the audience, was a nun for 8 years before she made the tough decision to leave the austere and oppressive lifestyle of the convent. This tremendous change had an incredible impact on her life. Marianne, for the Brides in Black, interviewed hundreds of nuns who have left the convent and those who have stayed, and has conveyed their struggles in imagistic and compelling prose. This book reaches all levels of readers and speaks to anyone who had to undergo the adversity that is inevitable with change.
Thanks very much, Emily. I don't think I've ever been described quite that way. I'm very happy tonight to see family, friends, and good neighbors. This crowd is totally amazing. Before I begin, I want to thank Marty Gervais. This was his concept. He came to me about a year ago and said, I want a follow-up to The Red Dress. And I thought, oh my goodness, what's that going to mean? And I interviewed women who have remained in convents and women who have left convents, as I did. The stories are totally amazing. And the students at the University of Windsor have literally transformed my manuscript. I am so indebted to them. This book is as much theirs as it is mine. This program is so unique and so dynamic that word about it needs to spread, and from the crowd I see here tonight, I know that it will. The film spoke about the nun I interviewed, who is indeed a scholar, and she did research the bad girls in the Bible, Jezebel and Bathsheba, and the good girls. And I think the bad girls are the ones with the most influence, which is really not very good for women. Here's the poem. Who am I? Sinner, seductress, trickster, witch, Eve, Delilah, Salome, Jezebel, salacious women, pop out from pages only on Sundays. Leader, peacemaker, war hero, faithful spouse, Esther, Ruth, Judith, Rebecca. A few mumbled verses only on weekdays, lost in empty cathedrals, as if they might appear in a Sunday sanctuary, clothed in white vestments threaded with gold, and preach from the pulpit. I'll never forget Saturday night suppers in the convent. They were penitential meals because supposedly everyone outside of the convent was committing sins of the flesh. Down the hall, the priests who had been invited, often for feast days, had a very different menu than we did. Separate menus. Succulent salmon, charbroiled steak, roasted vegetables, fresh homemade pies, clear clink of crystal, chilled wines from the cellar, enough loud laughter to spill over every chalice on feast days from the priest's dining room. Down the hall, nuns seated at sparse convent tables, Saturday night supper, 1 hard-boiled egg, 2 tablespoons of applesauce, a dry biscuit, lukewarm tea, measured in a small metal pot. This next poem, Saturday Ceremony, actually was inspired by Roger Bryan's work, and it's about a father who is reflecting on his daughter, who has just made final vows in a very restrictive community. Saturday Ceremony. A father watches his youngest daughter take vows in the cathedral. Cynthia becomes Sister Saint Boniface, a bride of Christ, clothed in the habit of a 12th century abbess. Curly hair shorn beneath a medieval headpiece. Flawless face hidden behind folds of woven cloth. Long measure of black. In a soft voice, he questions, is my daughter still able to breathe? I interviewed a sister who still teaches music, and she said to me, as a music teacher, I hear a lot of confessions. I was really interested in that. And I said, tell me what you mean, sister. And she said, well, you know, teenagers can't tell their parents anything. And she gave me an example about a teenager who was practicing for a concert. And every day she came in and played her piece in a very ordinary way. But one day she came and played it brilliantly. And the nun asked her, hey, what's different? And the girl made a confession. The nun's response to that confession still surprises me. Seal of confession. Sister Celine listens to Mia play Rachmaninoff's concerto in C minor. Surprising force of passion. The teacher has never heard such profound expression. She questions the girl. What's different today? Mia admits to an escape. Magic of marijuana. Sister Celine seals Mia's confession, tells her to prepare for tomorrow's concert. Practice, practice, practice. Maybe another secret smoke. I just love that response. I don't think any of my teachers would have responded that way. In the late 60s, the 70s, throughout the 80s, many young women were leaving convents, and actually no one was entering in most convents in North America. This was very painful for the members who remained in the convent. Empty house. Ella watches new members of her community leave every week. Some have been in the convent less than a year. Others disappear after a few September days, their absence a wound, swollen, festered, red. Where can you go? What can you build? The house is empty. A good friend of mine who was in the convent with me was telling me recently about having to survive after she left. She entered very, very young, never had a date, never handled money, never even been in a restaurant. And so she described to me, she said, all I knew how to do was study and pray. So this poem is survival skills. After 12 years, Gwen leaves the convent, clutching a check, $1,800. She's never shopped, never worn lipstick, never had a date. A teller shows her how to open an account, how to write a check. Gwen thinks she's rich. In a dealership, Gwen announces she'd like a yellow car. The salesman smiles, asks what model, what year, her price range, if she'd like to drive the Corvette on the lot. Gwen excuses herself, says she will wait. At university, Gwen attends science class, returns to her room. She's heard students joke about the pub. Gwen's never been in a pub, never ordered food or a drink. In physics lab, a tall, slender blonde who drives a red Ferrari meets with Gwen, shows her everything. How to bargain for a car, how to work the student pub. Bare legs, high heels, bright lip gloss, tight tops. Before Gwen knew only how to study, how to pray. Now she has answers, forbidden by convent rules. Freedoms she can't wait to explore, to embrace. Many who left were incredibly naive about the lines that some men have, and lines that a wise virgin would have been better off avoiding. Virgin in a bar. A man in a bar can smell a convent virgin. Her hesitation in the slow curl of smoke, incense of nicotine. As she pushes against the varnished door, Luke smiles. Offerings of tequila and rye, a new savior who leans close. Keys to a kingdom only he can reveal. Vivian takes his hand, believes every word, chapter and verse. She learned very quickly. Money was a huge problem for most of us. The convents just didn't give us enough money to make a start, and it was a real struggle. Dollars and cents. For 20 years, Edna knelt to ask permission for underwear, permission for shoes, permission for an aspirin. Now, on her own, money is a mystery. Rent, hydro, food. As if she can walk into an apartment, light a candle, whisper a prayer, watch rooms fill with furniture, closets overflow with clothes. A friend signs for a loan, warns Edna to measure out every dollar, as if she's still in the convent, still needs permission to exist. My final poem is actually a happy event. Mount St. Joseph, where I was a nun in London, is a huge, huge convent. There must be 700 rooms in that convent. And about 8 years ago, it sold because there are no new members. Just before it closed, we were invited back for a day of renewal to meet with the sisters who were still there and our classmates whom we hadn't seen in years. I opted to go that day, and I'm very happy that I did. Renewal. Women answer the call, climb the hill, return to empty halls, airless rooms, mingle with sisters then and now. Lifted with laughter, with bonds shaped in another life. A breath of redemption, received with thanks, before heavy oak doors lock every crucifix inside. Thank you very much.